while you were doing all of that, we've been looking for that leopard, and just reflecting a bit on how nice it was to firstly see him and the whole hunt and the stalk, but also just reminding ourselves again of how quickly they can disappear in the blink of an eye. I mean, not even. It was in seconds, not minutes. He managed to disappear. Not because he wanted to. That leopard really does not care about us. Just purely he was going somewhere. We lost visual, and when we looked again, you know, he'd moved somewhere else. And then for every second that you've lost him, the chances of finding that leopard again is just exponentially disappearing. So perhaps not. My feeling is that he was heading in general direction towards Quarantine. Q is actually named after Quarantine, so that is an area that he hunts in often. So we're going to keep looking around, hopefully find him again, or something else, you never know. So that's basically my plan for the afternoon. Try and find this leopard again. He was in hunting mode. Quarantine is one of his favorite hunting areas, so we can need a little bit of luck, because you always need a little bit of luck to find a leopard, as we saw this afternoon again. But there's also two other vehicles, Texans looking, Aubrey's looking, there's some game drives looking around. In fact, I have to call one of them. They were radioing me just now, so if you don't mind, I'm just going to quickly give them a shout on the radio. Susie again. Hey Susie PD, how's it going? Very good, man. That leopard gave us a slip earlier, somewhere in the block between Philemon's Katlan, Rebecca's Road and Zoe's Road. But my feeling is he's going to pop out again, Quarantine, Philemon's Dip, Rebecca's Road, somewhere there again in the course of the afternoon. That's where he was heading. Copy. See you a bit later maybe. Actually friends of mine. And that's one of the private vehicles. It's not a vehicle from a lodge like we saw with Aubrey or Texan. I'm actually just going to make a U-turn here and go back the same way. It's a long weekend in South Africa, so many of the landowners, people that own different pieces of Sabi Sands are here. So some of the vehicles will have a guide on, sort of like what we are doing, and others will just be sort of a group of friends driving around together, which is actually closer to what we're doing. I've realized is in many ways a traditional game drive with all the great aspects of it, and then it's got additional extras that are greater than normal game drives. I was talking to some guides the other night. The fact that we have such a positive, constant people going along. I honestly don't even think about whoever you are, wherever you are, as someone who is whoever. I think of you guys as friends. Some of you may be new friends, some of you old friends, but I think of you as people that I like to go and drive with, and that's a great feeling. To actually be excited not only about going to drive around in nature and looking around, but to be excited about the prospect of who's going with you. Now that is a big difference to normal lodges, because the lodges, sometimes you can have someone great in the vehicle and sometimes someone not so great, someone interested, someone not so interested. And you're gonna have to say hello to these guys. Each one's of these other friends of mine. Just gonna say hello very quickly, guys. I haven't seen some people for a while. Hey, how's it going? How are you?
David Curry, nice to meet you.
Peter, nice to meet you, man. You're talking on the radio all the way from there. I'm just talking about you. Guys, we are live at the moment, so I'm not going to stick around too long. How long are you here for? For tomorrow? Okay, we'll try and say hello. Wait, are you flying out tomorrow? Yeah. What time? Lunchtime. I'll try and say hello before lunch. Maybe just want a quick coffee or breakfast or something. Which way did she go? Okay. Hey, I feel a bit sort of, can you see I'm blushing? We were with her and then she was gone. Like literally, like I thought Aubrey had her, Aubrey thought I had her, and she was gone. So no, she was. We lost the Philemon's Katlan coming into this block towards Hyena Den. I think the best chance is finding him here again later. But yeah. Anyway, have a good drive. Cheers, guys. Bye bye. Sorry, guys. I try to keep that short, but Susie and her sister Jane, they've been friends of mine for 12 years, something like that. They love their wildlife as well. Now, I'm sure many of you know what these are, some of you might not. One of the cutest animals out here, called dwarf mongoose. What's the plural for mongoose? One mongoose, many? Let's get a few opinions. So what I was saying is, it is really great that you guys help each other as well sometimes with a little bit of information. And it also, since it's part of the experience, it's good that you understand if you didn't. Well, I just said now, if you want to send in some suggestions as to the plural for mongoose, again, if this is maybe your first drive, you can do so by either just tweeting it, #SafariLive, or emailing it into questions@WildEarth. Let's see if we can get a better look at these guys. So we must decide, is the plural for mongoose more in the direction of the plural for goose or for moose? It's for them, they catch mainly little, anything really. Dwarf mongooses, they're predators, they're hunters, and they would, their special niche is sort of little vertebrates, little, what vertebrates? Oh, there's one right on the log. Little vertebrates and invertebrates, so things with skeletons, little lizards and a small, skinks and maybe a little mouse or something, but they will also eat scorpions and spiders and insects. But they are little carnivores, they are meat or derivatives of meat eating. They're all up in the tree. That's a dead old tree that pushed over by elephants long ago. Well, it's not dead, it grew again. Perfect place for them, lots of little cavities and holes and chambers inside that old log for them to hide in. So they like to have a place of safety nearby, and suddenly a eagle appears or a snake. Oh, look at that, guys, this is magic. I'm still waiting for a few responses as to the plural for these guys, but there's 3 options, in case you only thought of 2. This is quite a nice view. I'm going to try and just go slightly forward, Andrew. Oh, come on. Just want to go. Just look into that space. Alright guys, thanks for the feedback. We've had mongooses, we've had mongooses, and you could also, as far as I know, the correct one is mongooses. The same as you don't say moose mises, you say mooses. But you can also, and this is, I stand to be corrected, but to my knowledge you can actually correctly say so in English. You can say one mongoose, many mongooses, but you can also say mongai, as in the old Latin form, domini, domino, dominus, mongai could also be used. These guys are doing a bit of grooming, either themselves or what's called allo grooming, where they're grooming each other. Practically, obviously very important, helps you stay clean, but socially also very important. You will find with a lot of social mammals, even social animals, not just mammals, you also find it with birds. Grooming plays a very important part of their day, part of their routine. Practically, again, to clean, get rid of parasites, ticks and fleas and things like that, but also for social bonding. You can keep each other clean and enjoy it, because grooming is nice. It's like getting your head scratched or your back scratched. You can also bond in that time. Hello Judy. Just asking whether mongoose or mongooses are rodents. This is such a nice view of them. Little private window into their lives. Judy, they're not rodents in the sense of being mice. They're little carnivores, and they would be the next sort of relation to them would be probably badgers would be the closest. I've mentioned before, I've never been a massive sort of taxonomist, you know, getting into all the Latin names and everything for everything. It's just not really been my thing when I was younger. But your mongoose species are closely related to your badgers, closely related again then to your hyenas as well, for instance, than they would be to certainly to rodents, but even to cats or dogs. So within your carnivores or your order Carnivora, you get a breakdown of basically different families, I guess, but would be more related to ferrets is what your question was, or to weasels. That would be quite similar as well. You get some mongoose species out here, the white-tailed mongoose we see sometimes out here. The slender mongoose looks a lot more like these guys, which are solitary. The dwarf mongoose, a little bit like meerkats or suricats, which many of you might be aware of, like Timon in Lion King. They are group animals, even though the one in Lion King obviously was more part of a sort of a more culturally diverse group with a hornbill and a lion and a warthog. But back on the ground, meerkats, dwarf mongoose, banded mongoose, those are your three social mongoose species. Slender mongoose, white-tailed mongoose, a couple of other species that you don't really get around here. They tend to be solitary. Well, we know where these guys are. I think we're going to move along a bit. I just want to keep checking these roads. Basically, I've got a very simple, very straightforward plan for hopefully finding this leopard again. The trees, temperature's just dropping a little bit. It's just cooling down to that sort of really pleasant late afternoon sort of feel on your skin. It suddenly just feels nice, and with it also you get a bit of activity from wildlife. And I find that on game drive, when you go into these time of the day, your mind also sort of does the same. It just relaxes a bit more. We've been driving now for almost 2 hours, so you get a bit more chilled out. And that's one of the great things about game drive, is that you can just relax and let your mind wander a bit. I was actually thinking about it today. I went to We'd quickly this morning to get a few things and a haircut as well. Get a haircut. And I was driving then, and I was just thinking about a game drive. The game drive is still bright. As the evening gets closer, the moon will be brighter. But we are very close to full moon now. I think we are about 2 or 3 nights away. 3 nights away maybe from full moon. Look at that. Beautiful afternoon. And if you go down along the tree trunk, and we just followed all the way down, I think you should see it from where you're sitting, all the way down the main trunk, more down slowly, and then go in. There's a couple of squirrels just enjoying the last warmth in the afternoon, having a little, I think it's squirrels there, a bit too far to see them, but on that bottom branch,
yeah, 3 of them it looks like.
Hey, 3 of them. Let's go a bit closer. Guys, what I was just thinking, and we can answer 1 or 2 questions again just now, but I was thinking that, you know, there's so much more to a game drive than leopards and lions. Obviously, I'm the last person in the world you have to try and convince that leopards and lions are good. But there's also the sunsets and the daydreaming, and it's the daydreaming that I was thinking of. Driving along is great. No, the squirrels got shy. They've run away. Hello, Connie. Connie also loves wildlife like all of us, and she's saying she once filmed, just make sure I caught that right, that she filmed dwarf mongoose taking ticks off warthogs. Just confirm for me if I got the gist of it. Oh, you saw it. Well, that would be something quite cool to see, Connie, as I'm sure you were well aware of at the time. it's not common. It's not something I've seen before that I can think of now. I have seen it. I've seen animals in. I was going to say captivity, but captivity is the wrong word. I have seen animals that grow up together. In fact, here on Djuma, there's been occasions where a sort of abandoned impala or something got raised, and an impala and a warthog and a monkey growing up together, they will actually bond and form a little social group, and they'll groom each other, and the monkey will groom the dog, and the dog will groom the impala, and that kind of thing. So it certainly is possible in the wild as well, especially with mongoose. They can have very close relationship with certain other species. So yeah, that would have been unusual, but certainly you can see how it could be possible. Here's the man we were just talking about. We'll ask him the question.
Well, hello there.
Good afternoon, Mr. Turner. How are you doing?
I hear you had leopard.
We had a little bit more than just a leopard. We had leopard stalking impala.
I know, it sounds fantastic.
I don't know if you heard on the radio, but it was almost within 20 yards of where the buffalo kill was.
Right.
So I thought back to that, and you know, that whole aspect of it.
Great. It sounded fantastic. We were listening to a bit of it, and we were just driving around. And what was he? Did he get close to success, or?
Yeah, well, he didn't actually go for a full pounce, but he was tail tipped, you know, twitching and the whole thing. And
yeah, beautiful.
Then he was there and he followed the nice views and your boy, huh?
Yeah, fantastic, mate. Well,
so
brilliant.
That was good. Yeah.
Nice one. Well, we can top that completely, mate.
I've got a quick question for you.
No, not before you hear what our kill was. We got a kill.
You got a kill?
Yeah.
Let me guess. It was a hornbill killing a. Was it?
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty rare, mate.
Yeah. What did he get?
Click beetle.
A click beetle.
Oh yeah.
It was pretty impressive.
Yeah. I know. It's not very often you hear it, but oh yeah. Hey, old Buggerlugs and I, mate. We were like this. We were like razor sharp right on that little guy. We're like, whew, we got a kill. So anyway, yeah, I just sort of let you know that I didn't want to rain on on your holiday, mate. Yeah, it's completely documented, mate. National Geographic magazine.
Pictures. I mean, you can't just believe the guy.
It was
had a kill, and of course he's got to go and get a kill.
It was brilliant, I have to say.
No, I can imagine. The hornbills are awesome, huh?
He was just on the road in front of us, and he was struggling with this this click beetle. He eventually got the innards out of it and so on, but he struggled. We watched.
Sorry, yeah.
We watched, and we just couldn't watch anymore. He took off in the end with it in his beak, but it was very, very good fun.
It's going to go bore it to death somewhere.
Yeah.
Have you ever given a click beetle to someone? Like,
yeah, absolutely, kids and so on, absolutely, for sure. Yeah. What's your question?
No, my question was just, and you don't have to answer it now, you can maybe answer it when people jump over to your vehicle later on, or just now. But I was just saying that this time of day, when the sun is doing this and the shadows are getting long and the temperature's dropping down, it's such a lovely part of the day. And on my drive today, I was just thinking that there is actually so much more to a game drive than lions and leopard. Obviously, you know, leopard hunting and obviously hornbill hunting, click beetles, you know, that kind of thing. You know, that's special. But a lot of a game drive is actually just that of being out in nature, not having anything specific to do, and just letting your mind run. And I was thinking of it's a bit like it's not just about the lion and the leopard, it's also about the sunset and the daydreaming. And and when this time of day comes, when this crepuscular time sets in, and we know that the predators are getting more active now and the diurnal animals are slowing down, it's this very magical part of the day. And I know that it's reflected in our minds as well. And I was saying just around the corner there, saying, I wonder what you guys are up to now, because you're looking for something, and I know that one's mind, as it cools down a bit, sort of relaxes a bit and you start thinking. So I was just wondering what you guys were, you know, chatting to each other about, what you were thinking about, and as I said, you didn't have to tell me now, because obviously we're thinking about, you know, telling me about the click beetle hornbill thing, because
telling you we were going to show off around the fire.
Other than that, I was wondering what you're thinking about. So
yeah, well, we sort of touched on that as well, mate. We sort of said, you know, how it's not just all about the big cats, and it's all about all the big predators and everything. The small stuff like this is. We just got a vehicle going past at the moment, folks, so that might be the noise that you can hear behind us.
Yeah, we saw them just now. It's Susie and Jane.
Hi guys. And it is much more than that. You're exactly right. You've got to stop at the small stuff. That was a really fantastic hornbill sequence that's known to the history of WildEarth.
Might get the most clicks as well.
Very good. On that note, we're going to let you carry on. That's a bit of gold comedy there coming out from Mr. Pretorius. Oh yeah. We'll see you guys just now, and hopefully you're going to find your cat somewhere.
We're going to keep looking. Where are you going now? What's your plan? Same as every day, Pinky. Find the leopard.
I'll look for cats, yeah, that's for sure. We're just going to go and do some of the dams. There's a lot of ellies around at the moment. We just had some beautiful elephant footage over there, watching the babies rolling around in the mud and stuff. But the mother of the little tiny one that was in between two big boys just standing over, just like adult humans would do, just going to, "Hey boys, older boys, watch the little one." It's really cool.
So I'm gonna actually, maybe just objectivity is sometimes good. I'm gonna just step away from this area a little bit, go to Treehouse Dam, have a look there.
Yeah,
And
I just saw Ephraim, and he said that he just saw spoor. I'm not sure if it's tracks from Q going in there. So
right,
maybe that was
so we're
the
going to
one
look
for
around,
you.
and then just so you know as well, my strong feeling is still that he's heading to quarantine. That's really heads. I mean, his name comes from that. So
I'm going to zigzag
I'm going to check that
around the
again
other
soon.
side,
And then I'm
you if I find him.
going to pre-warn you, but I'm going to plan a little prank. Which basically, we're going to talk to each other here, and somewhere in the next little while, I'm going to let everyone quietly jump across to your vehicle. Neither of you will know about it. I'm going to ask the directors to keep it quiet, at least for a little while. So, you know, good behavior.
I have no idea what's
I'm going to let
on.
them sneak up on you. All right.
Nothing like a bit of organised chaos.
Cheers, guys.
See you guys.
Alright. Guys, I think that's actually not a bad idea. As Aiden was saying there, the warthogs are busy at the moment, lots of ellies. This leopard is somewhere, you know, maybe let's sort of forget about him for a little while, and then maybe it's easier to find him. Sometimes you have to sort of, you know, try and psychoanalyze yourself through it. No, but jokes aside, I do think we can still find this leopard, but not by looking for him. We know where he's going roughly. We have a chance of finding him. We're going to need a little bit of luck. So let's go have a look at the warthog. Maybe find something nice there. And then what I think we should do, and old Hayden, shame, he knows that I play around a little bit sometimes, and as I said, and I can honestly say this, he's become one of my best friends. You know, when Graham let us know this is going on again, and I was just looking forward to seeing HT again and spending time in the bush together. So he doesn't mind a little bit of pranking. So I think what we could do, and this is making everyone nervous, is we could sneak over to his vehicle and ask Nikki and Tara in final control not to tell you straight away, and you can just drive along a little bit and just see what it's like when Hayden doesn't even know that you're there. And I tell you what, it's going to be the same as when you know that you're there, except you might not be talking as much. You might be looking around looking for things, and then after a few seconds, once you've sat there for a bit, you know, they can go, "Bah, you know, we're here," and you can have a chat with him. Just an idea. But I think it could be fun. And we did give him a bit of a advance warning for it. So as soon as everyone is not thinking we're going to give him a fright, but we're very close to the water now, so I think let's have a quick look, because at warthogs obviously your sort of chances of finding something increases quite a bit. Hey, Mr. Lurie. So we can have a quick look and answer a question, and then I think we can go and surprise Hayden on his vehicle. Christine, great question. They're asking about how many mongooses are in a pack. That can vary quite a bit, but with dwarf mongooses, normally anything, the smallest group or the smallest clan, probably about 5 or 6, up to 15. I think that would probably be, let's say 7 to 15 would be a good sort of average number for these groups. I have seen them in bigger groups. If they've had a very good year, if it's been raining a lot, if there's lots of food, you can sometimes get more of them. Ah, the usual suspects down at Treehouse Dam. There's a couple of buffalo bulls just taking it easy. The same buffalo that H&M saw a little bit earlier. They came past. Oh, that's quite nice. Look at the beautiful reflection. Let me stop here. That's nice. Visually, I find that quite pleasing. Buffalo just enjoying the last little bit of cool water for the afternoon. Most of these guys will do a bit of grazing now again, closer to sunset and just after sunset. It's very peaceful. See, his eyes are not even open. Well, we're just sitting here, a few buffalo around, a few of them still relaxing in the water, a couple of them here to our left. You might just hear the rustle in the grass. They're busy grazing again. They'll do a bit of feeding now, sort of just going up into early evening. This is Treehouse Dam, one of the waterholes that we frequent. And we just took a little, call it a step away if you want, or a step back from looking for that leopard. But if we don't have to take too big a step, I think we can head back there again. I do want to keep checking up towards the quarantine area, Rebecca's Road, see if we can find something. But perhaps you guys can go across to Aiden, and if you could ask him a question for me. We discussed it briefly when I stopped there next to him. Just ask him, what does he generally think about when driving around like this? What goes through his mind? What's he thinking about? What's he feeling? You know, taking in information, reading the sort of bush newspaper as we call it. So the sounds you're getting, the tracks you're seeing, the knowledge you have from yesterday, what happened, the territorial knowledge of the animals, all of those things. But just ask him the question. Ask him, HT, you're just driving along and you're not really saying much, you're just looking around. What's going through your mind? So we're going to go there very shortly, but I see one beautiful view. We're going to look at this, and then we're going to quietly go across to Hayden and surprise him. It's all part of the plan. But that's just nice. You cannot have such a beautiful view. Sun is busy setting, hasn't quite set yet. Beautiful trees this side, the reflection of the buffalo. Welcome in Africa. What a pleasure to be on Game Drive. People from all over the world enjoying and sharing what I believe is one of the most beautiful and enriching experiences one can do. I love Africa, I always have. I've always loved the romantic idea of going on Game Drive, looking for wildlife, being surprised by things. So it really is a dream come true for me to be doing this, and better than I could have hoped for. I couldn't have imagined it like this. So thank you very much for being part of it, and please ask HT, what's he thinking about when he's just driving around like this in the bush? I'll see you back here in a bit.
So we've just come up onto quarantine, this area where Pete was, and I just wanted to have a look for him in a way, because sometimes another set of eyes, you just have the luck of the draw. It's not really about anyone can do it differently. It's just sometimes you drive around and the next person that drives in there sees the leopard, and of course if I find the leopard I'd call him in straight away. But I think we might just do a little loop around here and see, because Pete definitely thinks he's still in this area. He's a beautiful, beautiful boy, and I'm really happy that Pete's had that time with him today, because it's Pete hasn't seen him. Just joined us. I'm talking about a leopard that Peter was with earlier this afternoon on Wild Safari Live, and it is the son of Karula. Karula, who is one of the most famous leopards here on Djuma and Narathusa, or in this area, and it's out of her fourth litter, and the brother of Kanuma, but he also just happens to be my favourite leopard. But he's a cool character. It's really interesting to talk to the guys. Scotty's got favourite leopard, and you know, it's just these leopards that you've spent time with, and that's what it's about. And learning about these characters is really important. We'll just go around here, and then we might pop down to the dam. really kind of fun watching that hornbill. He didn't have success by the time we moved on. He moved off the road and then he flew off with it. So he's probably going to take it and finish it off. But fantastic little sequence there, and to see him doing that. And a lot of great questions from you as well about the hornbill. I thought was really, really fantastic. Particularly the one, there was a lady in New York, I think it was a lady in New York and a lady in Seattle. I think the name was Tony, but it might be a man or a woman, I'm not sure. But whoever, your fantastic question, I really enjoyed it. It was like something about if it's dead, how is it clicking? It actually wasn't dead when he started, and it was clicking and trying to get away from him when he started, but then he found the soft center. So it ended up being a bit of an empty chocolate there, but he tried his best.
Well, he got the best part, not the
He did get the best part. He was a pretty happy chappy, but what a cool character to just sit and let us be with him. That's what's kind of fun. It is about the small stuff, and that's what Peter was just talking about. It's about the colour and the tone and everything. And I'm just going to give you a quick sensory update. Temperatures dropped well below what it was. It was in the early 30s degrees, about, I think that was, I wrote it down earlier, 87 Fahrenheit. And I really do feel a dramatic difference, and this is a beautiful temperature for cats. So we've got, you know, a good 45 minutes left. Anything could happen in that time. You don't know what's around the next corner. You really don't. I mean, Pete wasn't expecting to see Q, that's for sure. And I wasn't expecting to see a hornbill. A hornbill kill at that. Right, so what we're going to do is just pop down now over this little verge and drop down to the dam, and then I'm going to do a sweep right around the dam and come up back around the top of this area. Just stand by, folks. I'm just listening to the Game Drive channel. So I was just listening to the Game Drive channel, folks, to see if I can hear a couple of the guides that I just bumped into talking, and I'm just wondering whether they've found the leopard, but or a leopard for that matter, because there's a lot of different leopards that sort of traverse this area. I mean, we found Q the other day on the other far boundary of the property on my first day when we found him, and now he's nearly at the other side of the property, so a really nice distance he's covered there. And we'll just see what happens. What a beautiful evening, absolutely perfect. So back to my sensory sort of update for you, and that is, it does feel like it's dropped down into about the early 20s or the mid 20s degrees Celsius, which is probably about 70 in the 70s Fahrenheit. It's beautiful, beautiful color, absolutely beautiful color, about 77 Fahrenheit at the moment. Gorgeous band of color in there. Have a look at that. I just wanted to stop you because I think Brian will be able to get that color, that band of gorgeous sort of mauve there just underneath the black sky. Right on the horizon. It's the whole thing. It's the whole immersing yourself in the environment, in this habitat. you can lose yourself, and that's what we hope to do with Wild Safari Live for you. We hope that you lose yourself in this environment, in this habitat with us, and you just, you know, you immerse yourself in it so much that you feel like you're being there. That's what I really hope that happens for you. Beautiful evening, absolutely superb. Just driving really slowly through here. Folks, what Pete was sort of touching on about asking me that question, I've sort of discussed a little bit, but it really is about the whole existence of being here in the bush, and you know, talking to other guides, being in the presence of other fantastic, very, very knowledgeable people, and you take all that in. But when you go off in the vehicle by yourself, Brian and I, we just sort of go off into space. It feels like you really are just going off into this wilderness, this protected area that you know is full of beautiful wildlife. You know that the wildlife is safe, and you safe for them, and you know, we are working in their habitat, in their environment, and we're allowed to be here. And that's one of the things I always feel, that it's such a privilege to be in this environment. And then you get these colors, and you get the feelings and the sensory overload. So just on the, I'd like to give you the little smell factor as well. When the moisture sort of becomes a little bit thicker in the air, or heavier in the air, as it does at night, it starts to emit or starts to pick up a sort of a smell of the grasses, and that's a really important thing. There's a quintessential African smell that, for me, that is the grasses, and those grasses are such a beautiful smell, a sweet smell. It only sort of happens in the early morning and the late afternoon. It's a fantastic smell. Oh, that's a lovely bird. Isn't that a lovely bird? Right, it's just a quick shot, and we'll move on, but I just think that there's such a beautiful bird, saddle-billed stork. So we can't get in quite close enough to see, but the male has brown eyes and the female has yellow eyes. It's very difficult to tell from this location we're in, and they wouldn't allow us to get much closer than that. But it's very distinct when you see it. They're such a pretty bird. I think we did talk about its height before the other day as well. They come up to about 150 or 140 centimeters, I think, which is about 4 and a bit feet, nearly 5 feet tall. And they're quite a heavy stork. They're getting into about sort of 5 to 7 kilograms. So what we're going to do now, folks, is just because I think there's possibility that there's other animals around up in this other area on the left-hand side. I'm going to drive up through there and cross back over to Pete to see where he's at, because he was still looking for the leopard. And if I'll come back to you, I just want to have a little poke around in this area just up here for Pete for this leopard as well, and just cover 2 areas. I think he's probably back there, and if he hasn't found leopard, I'm definitely sure, if I know Mr. Pretorius well enough, he'll have something else for you. I'll see you just now.
Well, let's welcome back this side. One warthog to another, and back to some elephants. Unfortunately, the other female has gone into the thick stuff now. We've come across 4 elephant here. One of them is that female with a missing trunk tip, which we see quite often. And to my knowledge, there's no specific name for her. If there is a name that's evolved over the last while, please let me know. Excuse me, but I do think we actually have to find a name for her. I mean, we see her quite often. Really nice elephant. And can give us a few ideas. Stumpy would be the obvious one, but I don't like the name Stumpy. So if you have a few ideas, the missing trunk tip female, it would be nice to hear them. Guys, these ellies are going to thick stuff, and I'm not going to bunderbash after them for now. They're quite relaxed. And I do still want to keep looking for a leopard that we lost earlier. Hello, David. New Jersey. That's where you are? Not really. That's where you live. You are on game drive in Africa at the moment. David is just asking, why don't elephant or buffalo or anything else, I guess for that matter, lion, leopard, impala, insects, all the different things that drink water, why don't they get sick from drinking the polluted water at the waterholes? Now, David, that's very well observed. Obviously, beginning of summer or midsummer, the water's closer towards the middle of winter, end of winter, as the water gets more concentrated. But animals have learned to cope with that over many, many years. So their digestive systems can cope with it easily enough. And also keep in mind, there's not strange pollutants. It's all natural pollutants. It's mud and urine and things like that. It's not, you know, mine waste or city waste or things like that, you know, poisons and toxins. So these are just things that might upset their stomach a little bit, but it is something that not be a problem for them. So they can drink it, no problem. Although they do like the clean water. Elephants like to go drink at the dam with the clean water if they can choose. As we saw with these same elephants yesterday. We saw that they don't have a mud bath in the big dam, but they go drink at the small dam where there's water that's being pumped, that's nice and fresh. Sometimes. The question would be, let me try and think. I always try and sort of give you a short answer and then try and explain the whole thing, but generally speaking, actually they are as, I don't know if docile is necessarily the right word, you know, it's if you're driving a Aston Martin Vantage V12 or a, you know, Bugatti Veyron, and you're driving it nice and calmly down the road, just idling along, I still wouldn't describe that car as docile just because it is driving in such a manner. It's a little bit like that with elephant. They're not really docile animals. They're massive, strong, big animals that can do, you know, lots of massive, strong, big things. But they are very gentle animals. There's a little impala. Good afternoon, mister. There's a leopard around here somewhere. Have you seen it? No, he hasn't. He'd be kicking up a fuss if he did. But so I might, the word docile specifically, I might not want to use that too freely around elephants. But certainly sensitive, certainly aware of each other, certainly gentle, certainly friendly, certainly curious. All those words I could very confidently put in context with describing elephants. The underlying anger thing, firstly, anger is a bit of a strange thing again to link to. The word anger for me is something that reflects more an emotional response. I would even link anger to ego to a certain way, whereas with animals, I don't think anger is necessarily the word. Maybe aggression would be one. Protecting their young, chasing away a threat, asserting dominance within the herd. Those kind of behaviors, certainly when they do come to the foreground with elephants, can be very spectacular, very powerful, and certainly very aggressive under certain conditions. But it's not something that just generally happens. Elephants don't walk around thinking, where's the next thing that I can go and give a punch or that I can chase. They are innately intelligent, sensitive animals within the herd as well. Animals that get aggressive with people or with vehicles sometimes are from bad experiences or from bad behavior towards them. There's a variety of things that can influence that. But as a whole, I would describe elephants as intuitive, intelligent, sensitive, aware, curious. Those would be the first words I use to describe them. But then, push them in the wrong direction. As a famous man once said, beware the fury of a patient man. Same with elephants, push their buttons long enough and they can turn into a whole different animal in an instant. But they don't necessarily walk around with the underlying feeling of anger. I think it's more just the possibility for violence, or the possibility for aggression does exist, or the capacity for violence does exist, but under the right set of circumstances. Sally's saying Lipsy, Kathy's saying Choquette. I forgot the first one. Was it Lisa saying Tipsy? Tipsy's quite a funny one. Diane saying Chippy. Thanks, Diane. There's another one. Chippy, Chippy, Tipsy, Chunky. Lots of E's there. Sally saying Lipsy, Oopsie, Doopsie. She's a brilliant elephant though, female. That's where the mongoose were earlier, the mongai. They were mongoosing around here, but it seems they've moved on. Maybe the leopard scared them. Maybe they were sitting on the Djuma mountain, the next thing Q came walking past. Although I don't think so, we'd see his tracks on the road. But that's what we're looking for again. I'm thinking sort of like a nice name. I mean, she's a female that's obviously had some trauma in her life. That trunk would have been lost. There's a potential, in a variety of potential reasons, but my guess would really be, unfortunately or sadly, that it was probably a little snare that she got, around the trunk, a piece of wire or something. And I've seen it before where the trunks are lost much higher up, and it's more difficult for the elephants to adapt. Although I have also seen an elephant living a perfectly fine life, and this is a bull, so he wasn't even part of a herd. It's only about 2 or 3 foot of trunk left, so they can adapt very well. But that has not really made a big difference for her long term. She's surviving 100% fine, but you can imagine it was quite traumatic at the time. She's had young ones since then. She's looking after them brilliantly. I'm thinking of like a softer name for her, something a bit more fitting for a character like her. Keep sending a few of them in.
What about Teresa?
Teresa? Where'd you come from that, or where'd you get to that?
Like Mother Teresa.
Like Mother Teresa. I like that. See, there we're getting, that's the sort of feeling I was feeling towards Teresa. That's a very interesting question, Brian. All the way out of Toronto. Brian, how's it going? See, I love questions where people are thinking. This is what it's all about. Is to have a conversation is one thing, and to give you information about animals, that's cool as well. We all want to learn more. But a conversation is really what it's all about. And conversations only happen when we all think, and we all ask questions, and we all give answers, and we all have a conversation, which is one of the great things about being human. We can have conversations, the same as elephants can and dolphins can. mongoose can, meerkats can, lots of things actually can. We just don't understand it. But Brian is asking, could it be from a crocodile? Brian, you know what? I think it could be. Let's think about that some more actually. As I heard the question, I just thought, brilliant question. Brian was sitting there thinking, what else could it be? And I love the fact that you came up with something which was not by some sort of bad behavior from a human, but something purely natural. The only thing that I think might point against that is crocodiles don't have sharp teeth. So it's not that crocodile can go and snip off something like that. They've got strong, knobbly teeth for grabbing onto things. So if a crocodile catches, let's say, an impala, it will grab the impala and then normally pull it into the water, and it will either drown it or it will spin around to try and break it into pieces, or even 2 or 3 crocodiles to try and rip it up. It's very difficult for them to just chew off food. They can't just bite things off. But it certainly is possible. If you latch onto that trunk hard enough and made enough damage there, that trunk could have had injuries there that would have or could have had infection and could have caused that. But the front of the trunk, I had a look at a good look at it yesterday. It does look sort of like it's been severed off. It does look quite clean. So, but brilliant thinking. Liking it, Brian. Look forward to your next question. Definitely, Jilly from Wisconsin is just asking, do you get sort of different pecking order or hierarchy? Would be a more formal name for the sort of family structure in elephant herds. And obviously, Jilly, as you said in your question as well, you get the matriarch, which is the the sort of lady in charge. And under her, you normally have like a second in charge female. That's the two that you could easiest or most easily spot in the herd. And that female will often be getting the herd moving, or if there's a vehicle and there's a road and they're crossing, or a rhino or something is bothering them, should be the one that puts herself between that and the herd. But even within the group, you will also find social hierarchies, as you would find in any sort of very social animals that live together every day. They do get to know each other about who's who, and I think that might vary slightly as well. In other words, if there's 2 females of a similar size, I wouldn't necessarily say that one outranks the other one, but it might be that one on the one day is a little bit in a touchy mood, and therefore the others give it a bit of space. They're very aware of each other's sort of, call it emotional states for lack of a better word. But definitely you would find different hierarchical standings or social standings within the herd, and even within the greater community. In the general area. Let's see, we've got, where are we now? We've got about 20 odd minutes. Go to Hayden in the next minute or two. He's sort of doing what we're doing at the moment, just looking around, seeing what might be around, what might be out and about, what we could look at. And I think he's also just relaxing. It's been great to see Hayden last time and this time again. Hayden loves Africa. We all love Africa. Actually, he's originally from Australia, and we've talked a lot about a lot of things, but also what we've done in the past. And he's one of those people that have done an incredible amount of really cool things, and he's at the same time one of the most humble people I've met. I've met people along the way that have so much that they, and it's not a question of humble versus arrogance. It's not arrogance, but they've done so many things that could make them seem overconfident to many other people. I mean, Hayden has been from Australia to the UK. He's been in 53 different countries. 53 different countries doing different exciting natural things. He's lived with almost all the wild tribes, the people that still live truly wild lives in nature, and lived and hunted with him. So at the same time, such a humble guy. The point I was getting to is that I know that Hayden loves Africa, and the first time he ever came to Africa, he knew he wanted to come there. He made a plan. He changed his life around and he moved to Africa. He's got a great love for rhino. He's got a great love for wild dogs, I know. Leopard, since he's been here a lot. And he loves primates. I'm really hoping, crossing fingers, hint, hint, wink, wink, send lots of things to encourage everyone that we can go to the gorillas and the chimps in the jungles. Hayden knows a lot about them. Andrew, actually behind the camera as well, also has a lot of experience with primates. All these things that we hope to share with you at some stage. Having said all of that, I think that's a reasonable intro. So how's it to Hayden? You're going to drive with him for a little bit and perhaps ask him something about primates or about rhinos. Ask Hayden. Here's a question you could ask him. And many of you send a lot of questions, then we know he's going to get it. Ask him, what animal was the reason for him ending up in Africa?
Traversing this sort of top area around quarantine that Pete said that he last saw the male leopard. And I just want to try and help him with another set of eyes. I know that he's looking that side. I just want to come and look this side. The more sets of eyes, the more chance we have, and if we can find him, it'll be a great way for Pete to finish. But haven't had any luck so far. We didn't find any other tracks across the road, so he's definitely back in that area, and all we can do is hope that we come across him shortly. If we don't, we've had a fantastic day with him, that's for sure. But just to give you a little bit of an update, I just was doing that for Pete, and we'll still keep looking around this area. Really beautiful evening tonight. Just fantastic. The light's dropping, temperature's dropping, the grass, beautiful grassy scents coming out. Fantastic. Excuse me. I say it every night, folks, when we're at this time, this sort of dusk time, you have to really adjust your eyes. There's no contrast, there's no shadows, and your eyes have to adjust to this light. You have to take it slowly. There's a herd of impala just here on the right. Nice herd of impala actually. So I'm just going to let Brian get a little shot of that and stay still for you. You can just see them through the trees there. A lot of females there. There'll be a male somewhere there covering that herd and protecting it fiercely from other rival males coming around. Sorry about that, I just drove over off a big bump there, Brian, for you. Apologies there, mate. But you know what? We never know that if Q could be watching them. I'm just waiting for the right opportunity. That's what it's about. There's so much of the bush that you probably just never see, and I think that's one of the beautiful mysteries about it, that just on the other side of that other block or that other road or that other drainage line, it's another little act of the bush coming out and having its moment. It really is like lots and lots and lots of little different mini-series, I suppose, happening in all different parts of the bush. Lots of different articles in that newspaper that you can just read into and look into for more detail and follow. It is one really, really beautiful big story. So I'm just going to trundle up here a little bit further and see if there's anything around this next corner. Franklin sounding off, sounds of the evening. We're going to come up to an area called Impala Plains where we'll hear crowned plovers, crowned lapwings, as they're now known. They'll be vocalising. Got to be really, really careful. They nest in very, very open areas, so you got to be careful. You just make sure you look where you're driving. Sometimes they're silly enough to make a little nest on the edge of the road, so we always keep our eyes out for them. This is when it's really tricky, so we're just going to put a little bit of wash lights on. Excuse me please, croaky voice at the moment. Lovely little antelope here. He's going to no. One day, folks, I'll get. Oh, hang on, he might have stopped. Brian, just get your camera ready, mate. Just round through this corner. Nah, he's gone. It was a little grey duiker, and they are incredibly elusive. As I said, I think the other day, duiker is Afrikaans for. Look at that first. Ooh, that's a beautiful sight. Just a quick, I know it's another sunset, but just 10 seconds of sunset. Can't drive past that. Little duiker. Yeah, so that little antelope, occasionally, they will stop and hold their stance for about 10 seconds, Brian, and then they're just gone, aren't they?
Yeah. As soon as they realise you're looking, they go.
Yeah, as soon as they see the camera. It just helps a little bit, just to sort of give a little bit more definition to those darker areas under trees, or that my eyesight, or human eyesight for that matter, can't pick up. Great to have you with us. It's always a pleasure to know that everyone from all different places in the world are watching, and you're really welcome, and I hope you join us again. Tom, your question is, were ground hornbills once endangered, and are they very rare, or are they found they're very rare on Djuma? I'm not aware that they were highly endangered, Tom, not to my knowledge. They're not as common in some areas as others. I have seen a few pairs around Djuma and the bordering reserve Magnaletti when we were staying over there, but they're not that prolific. Depends on that. But really good question, Tom, and thanks very much, and I hope the weather in the UK is picking up, mate, and summer's coming. Thanks again. Oh, sorry about that. Big bump. Just going to head up this road here, folks. It's a bit more of a main road, or it's a border of the reserves joining another reserve. It's still all in the Sabi Sands, but I just want to head along here and cut back into that area. There's a few corrugations on this road, so I do apologise. And we'll just see what's up here. You never know what you can see just even on this road sometimes. We've had a line kill on this road, and it was extraordinary to see right on this road. We're just going to poke our head back in here in a second. Just going a bit slower on this road, folks, because the bumps are quite hard to watch on the camera. and we'll just turn off this any second now. But at this time of the night, when you know that there was a leopard there, and you know that there's a possibility of finding it, you go right to the wire, trying to find that leopard. There's something very special about finding a leopard. It's a very beautiful thing, and I'd like to try and help Pete find it, most importantly. And you know, if we found it, to pick up on that, then he could share all that with you and pick up where he left off with you. And I just want to thank you again. I know we've still got a bit more time to close, but it's nice just to do little thank yous, because today was a fantastic day of great questions again. Really super time. Loads of different things, but I think my highlight for today was the hornbill. The hornbill kill live was
Spectacular.
absolutely spectacular. So I think, folks, while I just go down this road, excuse me, I'd rather turn off this road and get onto the easier road, so it's not so many corrugations. I'll cross over to Pete so he can say farewell, and I'll come back to you just before I go. We'll see you just now.
Last time this afternoon. It's truly beautiful. Just look at that sky in front of us. We had a fantastic afternoon. Leopard to start with, leopard hunting, which is brilliant when you experience that. Now we've got this red sky of the evening. We've got just a few minutes left of the drive, and yeah, I'll be remembering the leopard hunting, and I'll also be remembering along with that you look back and it's gone. So that's the other part we learned today again. Is just remember, leopards are like ghosts in the darkness. I think we might have time for one quick question as well, and then we're going to say goodbye and just enjoy this drive as well. Let's just look at this view. I know it's almost dark now, but we've got this beautiful band of red sky there. And Liz in Brooklyn is asking, how far would a leopard drag its kill or the carcass in order to get it up a tree or to hide it from predators? Oh, that can vary a lot. Depends on how far a tree is away. I mean, if there's a tree nice and close by, then they take it over there. You know, a couple of meters away, a couple of yards away. But I've also seen them drag it hundreds of yards to get it safe, to get it away from hyenas. So, you know, 200, 300, 400, 500 yards, 600 yards. But nothing near as far as, for instance, hyenas would drag a carcass. I've followed drag marks from hyenas where they've dragged the carcass for kilometers, 3, 4, 5 kilometers to take it back to a den site. But a leopard will take it a reasonable distance, especially if it's a good carcass. Like if that leopard had killed, let's say, an impala today, an impala has food for 2 or 3 days, so he would try and hide it to ensure that he can get sort of the most out of it. But it does depend a lot on, even on the leopard. Some leopards don't take their kills up a tree all the time. Other leopards do it almost every time, so it does vary quite a bit. But I think that brings us to the end of our afternoon drive, our sunset safari. Speaking of sunset safari, just look at that lovely skyline. And once again, it's time to say goodbye and time to say thank you, because it's always a pleasure to have you on the vehicle with us. If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be here. If it wasn't for us, you wouldn't be here. So this really is a good friendship, and I look forward to doing many more adventures with you guys going along. From myself, Peter Pretorius. Andrew, nice being on camera with you. It's my first drive with Andrew on camera, and all the guys back in the directing room, and everyone sitting wherever you might be at the moment to join us for the drive. Thank you very much. We'll see you tomorrow morning bright and early, and we'll go look around some more.
Well folks, we're still on this road. I'm sorry I drove a little bit faster to try and get off it for you, but I'm to the bottom of this hill and we'll turn off this road. But wow, what a beautiful afternoon, and to be with that leopard for an hour for Pete, I'm just really happy for that. And for you to see Q again, it's been really nice. He's been really our friend. I can't believe the amount of area that he's covered just in like a day, up and back. Really fantastic. So it's what Wild Safari Live is all about, is interacting. Wow. So there's one, folks, that I have to stop for. And I'm not crying, I promise you. It's the wind in my eyes, but I have got a tweet from Nina, Gary and Jen in the UK. That's my wife and my brother-in-law and sister-in-law. So I have to say, hi guys, what a fantastic thing to know that you're watching with everyone, and just brilliant to have you on board. I can't believe it. That's just so cool. And all the way my family in the UK are watching me here with you on Safari Live. Great stuff. I promise you, haven't got a tear. This is actually just from the drive. Hi guys, and big love to you all there. Your question is all about hippos and how many people are killed by hippo every year. I don't really have the statistics on me, but all I know is that the statistics are much higher in communal areas than they are in sort of a tourism situation, and that's because a lot of communal areas, people that live on communal lands, they use the same water sources or the same water courses, for that matter, as hippos do, and people will go down to get water early in the morning, and they may come down to the water's edge, and unbeknown to them, a hippo is coming back to the water from grazing that night, and the person and the hippo come into a human-animal conflict situation, and the person is actually in between the water and the hippo. Now that's the most dangerous place to be. It's a really, really serious situation, and that's why a lot of people get chomped into tourism. That's because we're sort of in vehicles most of the time, But anyway, great to have you watching, and I'm really really happy that you're watching, and biggest love to you, and love to you, my wife, that's for sure, and Jack and all the kids watching. Hi to you from the Sabi Sands. Wow, incredible stuff. So let's have a recap. What happened today? We came out this morning. We had wonderful elephant encounters. We had some pretty cool things happen. It's really hard sometimes to remember what happened through your day. We had some pretty interesting things happen this morning. I had a bit of a recap on the wild dog, but there's nothing on the radio. Anyway, we had a beautiful afternoon. Pete found leopard. I got some elephant down here. We found the hornbill. We had a hornbill kill live, which I think is the first time it's been ever recorded in the history of Wild Earth and National Geographic Wild. It's a hornbill kill live. So I'll tell you what, I feel pretty proud of that with you, Brian, today. And it. On a serious note, just want to thank everyone for watching. We wouldn't be doing this without you. This is what it's all about. It's the interaction between you, us, and just the whole community. It's absolutely fantastic. We'll see you tomorrow morning on Wild Safari Live. Cheers.